September 12, 2001. Australia wakes up to a headline that shouldn't exist. Ansett Airlines is dead. Not struggling, not bankrupt, dead. 15,000 people. That's how many show up for work that morning and find out they don't have a job anymore. Pilots, engineers, cabin crew. The lady who checked your bags last week, all of them, standing outside locked doors. Ansett wasn't just an airline, it was a national institution. It had been flying for 65 years. It was older than Qantas. It was the airline your grandparents flew on their honeymoon, the airline that brought soldiers home from Vietnam, the airline that connected this country when roads were dirt and trains took 3 days. And now, it's gone. What killed it? Was it 9/11? Too early. This was September 12th in Australia, but the decision was made before the towers fell. Was it competition? Virgin was new, but small. Qantas was strong, but Ansett had survived them for decades. No, the truth is simpler. Ansett was killed by one man, one executive, one decision, made 2 years earlier. This is the story of how a single phone call destroyed 15,000 livelihoods. And why, to this day, Australians over 40 still won't fly that other airline out of spite. My name is Bob. Welcome to the lucky country. To understand the death, you have to understand the life. 1936, a guy named Reg Ansett starts a small coach company in Victoria. Buses. He's 27 years old, no money, no connections, just an idea that people need to move. One day, he looks at the road, then looks at the sky, and thinks, why not both? He starts flying. One plane, one route. Hamilton to Melbourne. It works. By 1957, Reg Ansett is a millionaire. By 1960, he owns half the airlines in the country. By 1970, Ansett is everywhere. Not just planes, hotels, resorts, freight. If you traveled in Australia, you touched Ansett. Here's something young people don't know. For decades, Ansett was the airline. Qantas was international. Ansett was domestic. If you flew from Sydney to Perth, you flew Ansett. If you flew from Melbourne to Cairns, you flew Ansett. It was a monopoly in everything but name. And Australians loved it. Why? Because Ansett felt like them. It wasn't fancy. It wasn't British. It was Australian. The food was Australian. The jokes were Australian. It was comfortable. Reg Ansett dies in 1981. By then, his airline is a fortress, untouchable. But fortresses have a weakness. They make you arrogant. By the late 1990s, Ansett isn't owned by Reg anymore. It's owned by two companies. One is Air New Zealand. The other is News Corporation, Rupert Murdoch's company. It's a weird marriage. Air New Zealand knows airlines. News Corp knows money. Together they own 100% of Ansett. And here's the problem. They don't agree on anything. Air New Zealand wants to run Ansett like an airline. Safe, slow, steady. News Corp wants to run it like a business. Fast, aggressive, profitable. The CEO during this mess is a man named Gary Toomey. He's a numbers guy. He looks at spreadsheets, not planes. He's been brought in to fix the finances. In 1999, Gary looks at the books and sees something that bothers him. Ansett has a fleet of 737s, workhorses, but they're old. Some are 20 years old. They cost money to maintain. Fuel isn't cheap. Gary has an idea, a smart idea. He calls a meeting. The room is full. Operations people, engineers, pilots, accountants. Gary stands up. He puts a slide on the screen. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the future. The slide shows a picture of a brand new plane, an Airbus A320. These planes are 30% cheaper to run than our 737s. They're quieter, they're newer, passengers love them. Every airline in the world is switching to these. An engineer raises his hand. Gary, our 737s are paid for. They're old, but we own them. These Airbuses would cost $500 million we don't have. Gary smiles. We're not buying them. We're leasing them. No upfront cost. A pilot speaks up. Gary, our pilots are trained on 737s. Our mechanics know 737s. Switching to Airbus means retraining everyone. That takes time, and we can't fly while we're training. Gary waves his hand. It's a temporary cost. Long term, we save millions. The operations manager? Even if we do this, we'd have to run 2 fleets for at least 2 years. 2 sets of spare parts, 2 sets of training. That's not cheaper. That's double the cost. Gary's smile fades, but he doesn't stop. The board agrees with me. We're placing the order. And he does. In 1999, Ansett announces a deal. They will lease 16 brand new Airbus A320s. The first ones arrive in 2000. The plan? Phase out the 737s by 2003. It sounds good on paper. In reality, it's a disaster. 2000. The first Airbuses arrive. Immediately, problems. The pilots aren't ready. Training takes longer than expected. Some pilots refuse to switch. They've flown 737s for 20 years. They quit. The mechanics aren't ready. The spare parts aren't there. Ansett orders parts from Europe. They take weeks to arrive. An A320 part? They have to wait. Result, planes sitting on the ground, not making money, just sitting. And remember, they're leasing these planes. Every single day, an A320 sits on the tarmac, not flying. Ansett still pays for it. Millions. Every month. Meanwhile, the 737s are still flying, but they're getting older. They need more maintenance, more money. Ansett is now paying for 2 airlines, 2 fleets, 2 sets of everything, just like the operations manager warned. By early 2001, the numbers are ugly. Ansett is losing tens of millions. Then, in June 2001, Air New Zealand, one of the owners, looks at the losses and says, "We can't do this. We're pulling the plug." They don't sell Ansett. They don't find a buyer. They just stop. On September 12, 2001, the announcement comes. Ansett Airlines is going into voluntary administration. 15,000 people walk out of their offices that day and never walk back in. What happened to the people? Some got jobs at Qantas, some at Virgin, some left aviation forever. The pilots who quit early? They were the lucky ones. They had jobs elsewhere. What happened to Gary Toomey? He resigned in 2001 before the collapse. He walked away clean. No consequences, no jail, no fine. He got another job, then another. He's still alive today, still retired, still rich. He never apologized. In 2002, a reporter asked if he felt responsible for 15,000 people losing their jobs. His answer, "I made the best decisions I could with the information I had at the time. No, I'm sorry. No, I was wrong. Just, I did my best." 3 lessons from Gary Toomey and Ansett. 1. Listen to the people who do the work. Engineers, pilots, mechanics. They told him it was a bad idea. He didn't listen. He thought he knew better. 2. Cash flow is king. Ansett didn't die because Airbuses are bad. They died because they couldn't afford the transition. 2 fleets, 2 sets of costs. If you run out of cash before your plan works, you're dead. 3. Arrogance has a price. Ansett was a fortress for 65 years. And that made one man believe he could gamble with 15,000 jobs and win. He didn't. Today, Ansett is a memory. Ask any Australian over 40. They'll tell you where they were when they heard the news. And somewhere, Gary Toomey is having breakfast, probably not thinking about any of this. But 15,000 families still remember. Thanks for watching. I'm Bob, and this is The Lucky Country. Hit subscribe for more true stories. See you next time.